select.
Yo, what is up, folks? What's up, ASM? What's up, people at home? Yep, this is Drakodan, and this is going to be Sonic Adventure 2's Hero Story. So, just did some prelim setup to save some RTA in a game that isn't timed by RTA, but marathons are, so always helpful to get another couple of spare minutes. So yeah, with me, I've got Worcester. Please introduce yourself, if you would.
Hello, I am Worcester.
You've played this game a bit, right?
No. I have played the bosses. That's it.
I was going to say, your job this run is basically to tell me how rubbish all the boss times are. Alright, so if we are ready to go, then I'm ready to go, so I can give a countdown and we can get started. So we're going to get going in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so Hero Story. This is a pretty dynamic speedrun, which I used to be pretty good at like 5 years ago, so we'll see what we can do with this. It's been a fair bit of time since I've been out the game, but this is always a very fun time. Yeah, I can see people already doing music and stuff. Yeah. So we start off with the boarding section in City Escape, which is going to last for the best part of like 30 seconds. Then we're going to gain control, and within the first like 15 seconds of gameplay, you're going to get to an opportunity for the first major skip of the run, which I'm going to give one attempt at and then carry on if I don't get it, as it's inherently kind of inconsistent. So we'll see how we do with the City Escape skip. Just going to focus a little on hitting the inputs before I get into anything else. Alright, I'm going to get one proper setup of this.
Almost.
Alright, so getting the trick jump to land on the speed pads like slightly semi-out of bounds is like how you get an attempt at the skip, and then if you land on the speed pads and get zipped to the right while you are out of bounds, then that triggers the skip, and you land like halfway through the stage. But getting the actual zip to the right is the kind of inconsistent part. You just have to try and go for it. And I go for it pauseless because I said this game isn't timed by RTA. It's RTA loadless, but we do time pauses in this game. So it's faster to not pause if you don't strictly need to. So you get to see some skipless CE anyway, which at a lot of top level runs you just do not get to see this stage at all pretty much. So just going to grind on the rails here, and going to be coming into truck section, which is going to showcase the fundamentals of how Sonic really moves in this game. You want to be spin dashing as much as possible, but whether you are going downhill or on straights or uphill changes how you want to move. If you're going downhill, you just want to let the spin dash roll as much as possible. And if you're going on straights or you're going uphill, you want to be chaining the spin dash as much as possible. It behaves like a real ball does, where if it's going downhill, it's going to accelerate on its own. So we're going to be getting out of City Escape here, still with a sub 2 with a failed CE skip attempt is not the worst, so I'll definitely take that. You can expect to save like between 25 to 30 seconds if you get City Escape skip, so it's pretty appreciable, but as I say, it's very temperamental, so you can just like sit there and try and go for it over and over, and then get a worse time than you would have if you'd just gone skipless. It's just one of those tricks. So Bigfoot, this is a boss, so what's happening here?
This is a boss. So the idea with this boss is basically he's got such a long hit stun that you can get a perfect time, essentially, if you hit him on frame 1 and then chain all of the hits from that position. So just using the box to jump up to him as early as possible.
That feels like a 4-5 to me.
Yeah, 4-5.
Alright, yeah, so I lost 4 frames there, I believe. The quickest time you can typically get there is a 3-9, so yeah, that's right, that's 4 frames. Alright, hunting stages. So, game's going to give you 3 pieces of the Master Emerald in randomly generated locations, and you need to go and find them with hints. The radar only tells you where one piece is at a time, but you can see physically where the pieces are in the stage. And in Wild Canyon, you get an opportunity to see a lot of free pieces because there are no pieces hidden underground since you do not have the shovel claws yet. So RNG is not super friendly here, but Wild Canyon is also a very small stage, so you typically, even with very bad RNG, you typically don't get times over 30 seconds without big execution mistakes, so not too bad. Like, I had to go all around the top of the stage, 26, it's like, could be worse. Could be a lot better, but could be worse. It depends how friendly the RNG is. And then we get straight into another boss fight. I am not going for the IL strat on this boss. You can in a run, but it's not a good idea. So this is literally just hold up and press B, the boss. That's not great though, because while Eggman's homing shot is active, For whatever reason, he doesn't seem to take damage while the homing shot is inside his own hitbox, so there seems to be a little variance in how quick the fight can actually be there, depending on if he decides to fire. Getting into Prison Lane, though, we get Tails' real gameplay. So, of the 3 main characters, Tails, I would say, is the most awkward for... Oh, nice. Yeah. Game froze. Okay, it's fine. The game just couldn't take the enemy exploding. It's fine. So Tails is probably the most awkward of the main 3 characters for beginners to really get a grips with. The mech handles extremely differently to Sonic and Knuckles, and it's very easy to lose momentum with the mech. The TLDR of movement with the mech is that you want to be running along straights, and if you need to do cornering, you want to do it gently if you can, or if you need to take a sharp corner, then you want to jump and do the cornering in midair. That helps you keep your momentum far more easily than if you cornered on the ground. So with Prison Lane, we've got to open a bunch of locked gates, which are locked by certain sets of enemies. So at all times, I'm trying to lock onto enemies as quickly as possible in order to open gates. And some of them, you can see the targeting can be a little weird. The game really doesn't care about whether you have a direct line of sight to an enemy. It's more so that, like, for each enemy, there's a set of positions that you can simply target it from. So it's just learning the positionings that you can use to target each enemy. Like, you can have what is very clearly not a direct line of sight and still get a lot of early lock-ons. Gonna try and dodge the enemy shooting here. Alright, not bad. So I tried to get an early lock on there, but didn't quite manage it with that enemy there. Also tried to do a pivot turnaround by switching a sharp 180 degrees on the control stick, but missed that. But as long as we get the gate skips, so that's as close as this stage gets to having a skip. It just saves a few seconds if you can hop on top of those fences rather than take the elevators. And getting a nice sub 140, which is not too bad. I'm pretty happy with any 1-3x that I see in a run. Like, the absolute top runners will be like, oh, 135, that was terrible. Like, I made so many mistakes, but it's fine. I got the elevator skip, so I'm fine with that. Metal Harbor is going to have the game's first upgrade. So your characters do get extra abilities as you play through this game. Sonic is going to come into the stage and get the light dash at about 20-21 seconds. And this is going to allow you to light dash across trails of rings. Now, this game is slightly awkward in that, like, the Dreamcast released with 4 face buttons. So they decided in this game to give you a jump button and an action button, which is everything else. So, like, I say, the Dreamcast has 4 buttons, but everything is on, effectively, the B button in this game. Light dash, spin dash, bounce, which you get later, somersault. Everything is just context sensitive on the B button, and so once you have, like, all of Sonic's abilities, it's actually pretty easy to accidentally use the wrong action at the wrong time. Got a nice little vertex jump there into loop speed under the loop. That's actually a little tighter than it appears. So I just used a trick called storage to get under the somersault barrier there. Okay, we'll wait again. That was a nice time for that to happen as well. So I mentioned that, like, every action in this game is on the B button. That includes the somersault, and so the game kind of needs to know when you're somersaulting and not. It's on the same action button as the spin dash, so while you're charging the spin dash, the game behaves as though you are somersaulting and gives you the properties of a somersault, which includes a shorter hitbox and the ability to damage enemies. So the shorter hitbox allows me to go under the barriers, such as that, and the ability to damage enemies is going to be used in the following boss fight when I get into Shadow 1, which... it's a boss fight. It's one of the boss fights where I am going to attempt to go for the task strat, since that just involves using a spin dash at the start of the fight and then using storage to run into him and damage him. Can save, like, up to 1/4 of a second. Typically on this boss, people will be happy with, like, an 11 high 2x, like 11:29, 27. I'm hopefully going to get a 10. The task time in this fight is 10:94, so hopefully I'm going to get as close as I can to it. Also, it's a nice change to have this cutscene play out in a marathon and not have 1,000 people chanting the cutscene words. It's a very nice change, actually.
There's no time to play games. You won't even get the chance. I'm the coolest. Oh, I see.
High jump,
yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you manipulate the AI correctly with your movement, you can avoid getting a jump there, but that is the one piece of boss tech that I, like, never really got good at, so I kind of just hope that I don't get a high jump, and I did there. But still got an 11, so I'll certainly take it. All right, Green Forest.
So unfortunately, Draco, we did have a $5 donation from Shadow the Hedgehog saying, Faker, I think you're the fake hedgehog around here. I'm not going to read the rest.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Thank you. I'm sure you can all do the rest at home. You know it. We're just at it. All right. Green Forest, this is the first time in the run where I'm probably going to give one solid attempt at the skip in this stage, kind of like City Escape, but I don't know if I'm going to sit here and like keep trying this skip. I think I'll just give it like one proper college try. Green Forest is a very nice mushroom.
Wow.
Very involved technical stage with a lot of tricks you can go for at any time, but I'm going to be keeping things relatively simple. And once I reach the middle of the stage, we've got like the tree run into potentially the TAS run or the moonshot, where sounds like a lot of words, but you'll see as we get to the middle of the stage, hopefully. Going to quickly do a loop skip here. Very good, nice. Please don't get vertex. All right, stuck to the floor. That's very nice. I could have gone neutral there, but wasn't quite sure which vertex I was going to end up landing on there. So I'm going to homing attack across a couple of enemies to get a checkpoint, and then I'm going to get one proper attempt at this skip. Okay, that doesn't count as one proper attempt because I need to at least land on the side of the loop. But this is my nightmare skip for this run. Like, this is the one skip which the entire time that I ran this game properly, this skip never agreed with me, and it decided to just send me towards the spring anyway. So the idea is that you're supposed to spin dash off the side of the loop and homing attack into the loop speed trigger at such an angle and timing that it sends you sideways onto the tree, which you can then run up while you don't have control of Sonic directly, and hope to not get vertexed anywhere, and then jump off the tree in such a way that you can end up here. And it's very difficult and absolutely kills a lot of runs. It used to kill a lot of runs for me, for sure. But instead, we're going to just go through a pretty pedestrian route, and oh well. I promise the second half of the run will look a lot more broken and with tricks that I actually do hope to get first try. I'm going to just make sure I don't die here. All right, it's whatever. So, as far as I'm concerned, this run consists of 3 legs, where there's like the early game, the middle game, and the late game. I consider Green Forest to be the end of the early game. Like, if you're like grinding PB attempts, trying to go for like all the skips and such, this is the point where I'm like, okay, we just got out the early game, and now let's see how the rest of the game goes. Pumpkin Hill being the start of the middle game, and this is going to be Knuckles' first upgrade, the Shovel Claws. So I'm going to grab a hint monitor just before I go into the upgrade, hopefully, in order to cancel the text, yep, so that we can go a little faster. Okay, this piece is in 2 different spots, and it's not on this side, so it is around here. Grab a hint.
So I should explain as well, there are so many different emerald locations that you can get, and you have to memorize every single hint, well, first hint with every emerald piece.
Yes. So this is also in 2 spots, but based on where I got the first emerald piece, that was always going to be there. Effectively, the way the game generates the pieces is piece 1 is completely random. Like, the game just looks at all the possible piece 1s, gives you one of them. The game then looks at all the possible piece 2s. It compares them to the piece 1 that it gave you, and it will only give you a piece 2 that's in the 50th percentile or higher for distance from piece 1. So TLDR, your piece 2 is always going to be far away from piece 1. And then for piece 3, the game does a lot of complex math and logic where it draws 3-dimensional maps between where the first 2 pieces were and all of the possible piece 3s. It creates a 3-dimensional space to represent all of those, and it gives you one that gives you the 50% or higher total space between all 3 pieces. So that's a lot of words to say, like piece 1 is totally random, piece 2 will always be far away, and piece 3 can, within reason, kinda sorta be anywhere. It can cause some really strange layouts, but yeah. Alright, here we go. So that's a nice little hover jump there. We also got Tails' first upgrade, and it's going to be Tails' only upgrade, the booster, which allows you to hover, which is supposed to be used to slow your descent and get across gaps, but can also be used while you're still rising in a jump in order to get a bit more upward momentum in that jump. Nice 360 no-scope as well, by the way. So Tails' stages are all very finely tuned, so that you have like an expected maximum jump height. You're really not supposed to be able to go any higher than the normal jump allows. And so there are a lot of like skips or cycles that can be skipped in Tales of Stages by simply going very slightly higher than intended. Gonna go under here, and I'm currently on pace to meet the first cycle in this stage, which is not called first cycle, it's called zero cycle. Since we previously had a first cycle, and since finding the weight jump, it was possible to save another cycle, so this is now the first cycle, but we just still call it zero cycle. Pretty comfortably met. Do a hover jump here where I'm going to clip through the side of this fence. I'm going to make sure to clip through the sloped side of the fence rather than the flat side, as the fence on the slope side is actually not solid, whereas the fence on the completely horizontal part is solid. You will not clip through that part of the fence. And now a bit of precise movement to try and keep my momentum through here. Come away from the wall and back towards, yep. And going to come through, this is probably going to be a 206 getting out of Mission Street here. I'm going to get straight into Aquatic Mine, the next hunting stage, where there is a lot of opportunity in Aquatic Mine to see free pieces in the intro cutscene. My ability to see free pieces is limited slightly by playing in 4:3 aspect ratio. You can play either in 4:3 or 16:9 for this game. 16:9 is objectively a bit better, but 4:3 is how I learn to play the game and how it feels comfortable for me. Like, some of the just cues feel more natural for me in 4:3, so this is what I opt for. But it does make finding free pieces in this cutscene a little trickier. It doesn't look like I have any anyway. I do have a ping, so this isn't going to be a reset at the start of this stage. Okay, don't have any of the pieces that I could possibly expect up here. Please. Thank you. Alright, where's my water level 2? This is in the ghost room. Tried to go for a wall run there, but I'm bad at basic positioning, so I missed it. I can, however, go for a clip out on this side.
It's closer.
Hello? There it is. Got there in the end. And to dig under the triangle skull is in the narrow path on the middle floor. So not amazing RNG here in Aquatic Mine, but like I say, it's a very volatile stage. Your ability to get very good times in this stage is very dependent on getting the free pieces, although 49 is like not a good time at all. Like I said, I missed the mini wall run, and then the camera refused to follow me for a long time after clipping into the ghost room, so that's really not amazing. But we'll take it.
This is perfect.
And coming now into Route 101. It's a driving stage. You hold the accelerate button, you drift back and forth as soon as you hit the first downslope, and you save your boosts for when you are forced to lose speed. That's about it for this stage. Like, this stage is the perfect time for any donations or messages that anyone wants to jump in with.
Yeah, so we did have a $15 donation from Dolphin Dasher, who said, hello from the US, just discovered ASM this year, and it's been an absolute blast. Excited for this hero story run on one of the Sonic games of all time. Good luck, Draco. Show those bosses who's boss. Put this towards the Call of Duty incentive.
Thank you so much, Dolphin Dasher. Hope you're doing well, man. Alright, so I'm pretty much just trying to hit Trails of Rings in such a way that I'll always have a boost available for when I next need it, which is pretty much after I'm forced to go up an upslope, or after I accidentally hit a wall or a car. So the first situation is like planned. You always need to go on an upslope, and the next two situations you ideally never want to deal with. Like, hitting a wall, it can be pretty minor. Like, if you just glance against the wall, then sometimes you like don't lose much speed at all, but hitting a car forces you to lose quite a lot of speed, actually. So it's always the most important thing in this stage to just not hit cars if you can help it. It's not great, but whatever. This will be a... Oh, still 119. All right, but my boosts are somewhat off cycle here. Like, I'd ideally like a boost here, but I don't have one. And then there's a car that's going to be creeping up behind me just now, but doesn't seem to have caught up with me. This blue car is going to be in the middle of this ring trail. Yep. Going to deliberately bonk off that wall. And then this red car is going to be in the middle of this ring trail. This is super sketchy for the ring route. And then this yellow taxi is going to be in the middle of this ring trail. So I'm just going to tank it and then not get a boost. Oh my god, how many rings am I missing? That's terrible. But I will definitely get a boost here. Yeah, I was one ring away from the boost. Lovely. Just take a sharp line here and then get one more boost off the balloon here. Now, fun fact, the blue car there despawns. The cars despawn when they reach the end of the track at a certain point. If you collide with the cars as they are despawning, they cause the stage to despawn with them. And then you fall and you die. And there are no checkpoints in this stage, so then you lose over 2 minutes, and it's one of the worst time losses you can take in Hero Story. It does happen to people. Like, you need to be careful to not collide with the vehicles when they reach the end of the track. So 2:16, again, not amazing. That's kind of the theme of this run so far, is that a lot of the stage times have been not amazing. But we'll see what we can do, like, coming into the end game once we're past the desert stages. I do say that the gauntlet of desert stages is collectively, like, probably the most technical part of the run. So Tails has Hidden Base, Sonic has Pyramid Cave, and Knuckles has Death Chamber. And then you have a nice little mini boss gauntlet. And these are all stages which are all very demanding individually in their own right, and you get to do them all back to back. It's very nice. So using a little hover jump to get over the fence there, we call that Axel Jump after Axel Thunder, who discovered that. Lock onto the dynamite packs individually so that you can release the lock-ons slightly sooner, ideally. I'm going to go for another little hover jump here with a pause. Missed the hover input, but that's fine. $55 check is like, oh, that's okay. Ideally, I'd like to break that door without any momentum loss, but it's pretty difficult to judge the angle change that you need and get the shots on the door before you collide with it. Just do a little back up here, get over. I thought I had the correct timing there to just be able to run across the floor without losing speed, but it really depends where that rising and falling floor panel is in its cycle. And a few more hover jumps here to get up here, on here, and slightly out of bounds. Like I say, all of these out of bounds jumps, they're just predicated on the notion that you're not supposed to be able to go any higher with Tails than a normal jump. And walls in this game, pretty much categorically, they aren't solid all the way up. Like, they only have solidity up to a certain point. And then once the wall is high enough, it just stops being solid. It's going to start being used in Sonic stages a lot as well, where in the next Sonic stage, Pyramid Cave, you're going to get the Bounce Bracelet, which is possibly the single most broken item in the game, and is going to enable an advanced tech known as Super Bouncing, where the TLDR of that is when you bounce and go into the bounce form, for whatever reason, whenever you contact a wall, your horizontal momentum will be converted into vertical momentum. So you bounce into a wall at high speed, and then you just shoot up into the air. There's always something going on in Pyramid Cave here, where I'm going to get into this corner and try and use the geometry of the Chow Box to get bounced up. Get on here, spin dash jump across here, spin dash hover across here, and hit the Slight Dash Trail, and get the Bounce Bracelet. And so the effect of the Bounce Bracelet is pretty immediate in the run, where we just get to go straight up here and going to have a nice few more uses of the Bounce Bracelet like this, such as skipping this first door. Like I say, walls are not solid once you go high enough. Coming up now to the infamous door skip. Well, it's not infamous, it's pretty famous, this door skip at Pyramid Cave, where you just line up and can jump straight through the scene between the wall and the door. That is pretty precise, but as long as you respect the setup, it's pretty consistent.
It's also a huge skip compared to a lot of the other skips that are 2 seconds. That one's massive.
Yeah. That saves quite a lot of time of going off to the side and fetching an item to unlock the door. It's pretty considerable. Please, Sonic, can you get up there? Oh my god, I cannot super bounce. Alright, I'm going to do the baby super bounce by just using the geometry to bounce me up instead. And now going to do snake skip by getting skewed gravity, maintaining the skewed gravity with a bounce, and then you get to do a mini wall run and jump straight up there. Almost makes up for how I just could not get a super bounce before.
But yes, the Bounce Bracelet is used a lot to kind of maintain the line that you're falling at. It doesn't always just push you straight downwards because it's relative towards Sonic's current positioning.
Yeah, like gravity in this game is very dynamic. Basically, any time that you are mounting a slope or, you know, changing direction, the game is changing gravity dynamically with you, and gravity just resets to true down once you like fall below a certain speed is the general rule of thumb. So it enables a lot of very funky stuff like that. All right, Death Chamber, hunting, yellow and black stripes. This is a terrible first piece. I do not want this, so I'm going to grab the upgrade and restart to re-roll my pieces. Don't have any free pieces here. Eyes bugged out. This is not much better, but I don't want to be in a cycle of just restarting and hoping for better RNG, so I'm going to just go for this. This is in the green room. I'm also making sure to have 0 rings as I go towards this piece, because what I'm actually going to do here is grab the piece and then intentionally die. This is on the other side. Whoops. So after you die, the game remembers which pieces you've got. So it's going to respawn me in the red room with only 2 pieces left. Scorpions don't get along. This is in the blue corridor.
But yeah, so dying puts you back at the start of the stage, but the pieces don't have to be necessarily that far away from each other again. So for an IL, the strat is get 1 piece, die, constantly until you get a piece right near the start over and over again.
That's not the piece I'm thinking of. I don't think. I'm going to double check. I'm actually kind of flubbing there. No, that is not the piece I'm thinking of. Yeah, specifically the M1 IL strat is to use that method to get pieces in reverse order specifically, because the game's logic that I mentioned where it locks out certain pieces based on distance, it doesn't do those calculations when the pieces are gained out of order. So if you gain a piece 3 in the red room, which you can, like there's a free piece 3 in the red room, which I'm always checking for. If you get that, you can then death abuse and then get a free piece in the red room for piece 2 when you respawn.
Okay, so these are the 2 like most consequential bosses, I would say.
Yes.
A lot of the optimization on the other bosses is for like 0.2 of a second between like the best and the worst ones. But these 2 bosses, you can have several seconds of difference. So the idea here is he's going to try and dig, get hit, and then be able to hit the hourglass before King Boom Boo turns around. Very quickly go over to dig him out, and ideally get all of the hits before the timer expires, and get the quick 1 cycle here. Yep, not too bad. Got the strat.
Too bad. Egg Golem is... the time loss isn't as strict on Egg Golem, but the execution is way stricter on Egg Golem. Going for the same super bounces, but the room that you have to do them is very short, and you effectively have to do like 2.5 inputs in like 5 frames, and I have to do this like 3 times in a row, ideally.
That's 2.
I'll take that.
That's not bad at all.
I will take that, yeah. I will super take that.
That's
that was
great
very
Egg
good.
Golem.
And then die in the sand to save a little bit of IGT, because the timer stops when Sonic dies, but then the victory animation overrides it. If you get in the sand as optimally as possible, you can actually fully die there. Like, you can die before the victory animation plays. It's terrible to lose an IL to that. All right, Eternal Engine. So this is the last leg of the run, the space stages. So let's have a little bit of fun with some out of bounds. You get Eternal Engine, Crazy Gadget, and Final Rush for main action stages. These all have major stage-breaking skips. This first one I'm coming up to very shortly, and I do not really get repeated attempts at this without dying and resetting the stage, so I'm hard focusing here for a sec. Okay, I get 1 more try on the other side. Nope. So I've got to die to reset the stage here. The idea is you break the wooden boxes and get in the gap between the metal box and the floor, and have the metal box push you out of bounds.
And you also have to be doing it with almost full momentum coming at it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, that's fine. Obviously, you prefer to get that first try, but that is like the king of temperamental skips in this game. Like, if you are super disciplined, you can get it consistently, but there's a very small margin of error for that. And like I say, the fact that you need the metal box to fall means you can't just back up and repeatedly attempt that. A lot of runners are so unconfident about doing that in anything but the most familiar way that they actually will not attempt that skip on both sides of the room. Like, everyone has a preference on which side of the room just feels more natural to go for, or they go for the left side because it's a very slightly more optimal path. And if they don't get it that first try, they actually won't try it on the opposite side because I guess they don't really trust themselves to get the clip out on the other side when it just feels a little more awkward to do the analog stick input. Just, it is what it is. It's a very temperamental skip. And now I'm out of bounds and I can't see where I'm going and I have to navigate to the goal ring at the end of the stage, which is just over here. This is still missable. I can still die here. Okay, that's fine.
Got it.
Yeah, you have to kind of hit the goal ring blind there. The old version of this skip where you clip out halfway through the stage was at least far easier to hit the goal ring with. You have a much better view of where the actual goal ring is. But here you kind of just have to use very vague background cues to know where you need to be and then trust that you're in the right position to hit the goal ring. So if you fall past it, then you hit a kill plane and you go all the way back before you got the clip out. So, Meteor Herd, final hunting stage. This is by far the biggest hunting stage, but it is honestly a pretty easy one to navigate around. The movement in this stage is generally pretty simple. Like, you're either just running like this, or gliding, or climbing, or diving down. Which is pretty friendly, because like I say, it is a very big stage. Okay, black boxes. This is not very good RNG, but at least I didn't get Floating Stone Above the Moon, which people kind of universally agree is the worst piece in this stage. So going from all the way at the bottom to all the way up the top. Hopefully I get to have a nice little gravity drill dive here. Not quite. So as you are dismounting from the rockets, you can do a drill dive in like the first couple of frames, followed by a glide to get a lot of sideways momentum, but didn't quite get it. Ark's huge storage area, so this is going to be about 50. Yeah, the RNG in this run has been really not great. Like, this was not a good set of knuckle stages at all, but obviously the most important thing as far as just completing a run in timely fashion is knowing where each of the pieces are. As long as you have memorized all the piece locations and you can go from A to B to C without hesitating, then your times will come down pretty considerably, like as someone learning the game. It's definitely the biggest barrier to like learning the game, is just consistently clearing the knuckle stages without hesitating. So Rouge, this is a boss which I firmly believe like pretty much nobody does in the quote-unquote optimal fashion. I think a lot of people take unnecessary risk in this fight by just spamming drill dives, because the more inputs you're using, the more opportunity it is to get an input wrong. Like, you can just do that. It's free. You just, your hitbox is active while you're jumping against her, and you just hold up, and the camera's always facing towards her, so you're always in contact with her. Like, what's wrong with it? Anyway, crazy gadget. CGSS is by far the hardest thing in this run that I'm going to go for, and I'm a little worried coming up to this, but let's see how it goes. This is... wow, nice start. But this is very difficult, this skip. We go through the first like 30 seconds of the stage just with inverted gravity. In some spots where I'm not quite supposed to have inverted gravity yet, but the stage still supports it with the overall stage design. I really want that checkpoint, actually. And now here we go. Okay, out of bounds first try, that's really good, but it's not over yet. I'm kind of just getting started with the skip. I've now got to navigate out of bounds with barely any visual information and land straight in the goal ring. Just like that.
Nice.
First try CGSS, hell yeah. I was really worried about that because, yeah, just getting out of bounds there, it looks like you just do a straight jump, but that room is shaped like a box, and it's like every edge of the box is a kill plane, but the lid is very slightly lifted off the box, so you can, like, jump downwards and then go parallel and then go downwards again to start trying to go towards the goal ring. And turning too sharply in midair in this game kills your momentum, so you really need to maximize your distance and not waste any momentum there as well. That was another boss. This is the boss that is like the casual destroyer, and people just get stuck here and can't get past this boss. But Eggman 2 is pretty simple as long as you obey a few rules and just get 4 quick hits. Like, the laser is really scary, but he's immobile while the laser is going on, and you can just hover jump out the way of the lasers, so being relatively close range is surprisingly safe. Alright, final rush, and this is going to be yet another major skip. Thankfully, this one is far easier than CGSS. We're going to be using the aforementioned... well, actually, I'm not going to be bouncing. I actually prefer to do this skip bounce less, but I am going to be using skewed gravity. Okay, so I now need to count 16 seconds. 4, So basically I'm going to reset gravity at 35. So I'm using the background to judge which angle to fall at. I'm trying to fall as high as possible so that I can get around a bunch of kill planes and then fall straight towards the end of the stage. So switch to this angle. And really, the only qualitative difference between bouncing or using bounceless is bounceless is very slightly slower, but you get a lot more height. So the margin for error is a lot more lenient with bounceless. Like, at this point, if you've gotten this far into the skip in bounceless, you should never really miss the goal ring. Like, you should never be worried about missing the height to make it to the end of the stage. But you have a little bit of insurance distance if you need it, since I still have the homing attack aura here, and I can do a homing attack if I need to for a little more distance, but this is more than enough. Just making sure I am rightwards enough here to dodge the final kill plane, and then fall straight into the goal ring, and get into the final boss of the run, which is Shadow 2. Yes! Alright, yeah, so I say this a lot in speedrun streams. Aside from the stuff that's been bad, this has been a pretty good run.
Huh, no problem.
That's like the theme of a lot of runs. And hopefully Shadow is going to be a pretty clean end. So I'm going to just be chaining some rhythmic homing attacks to try and lock him into a cycle of jumping and homing attacking himself, and hitting him in the brief moments where his homing attack runs out and he's still airborne. And time is on the 5th hit here, so 3. Next hit is time. Time. All right. 35 RTA, it looks so good, but I saved 2 minutes from emblem skip, but it's still, yeah, I will certainly take that. That was not too bad. I didn't get CE skip, wasted so much time on trying Green Forest when I knew that was futile, got really bad RNG, didn't even get Eternal Engine first try, but I got CGSS and FR first try, so I'll certainly take it, yeah. Not too bad at all. And yeah, thank you very much, Worcester, for joining me. Thanks everyone at ASM for having me along to do this run. A lot of fun. Great game in my opinion. If you're at all interested in the game, like, you know the deal, like, there's discords for this game, there's plenty of people who are willing to help you get started with learning this game. So yeah, shout outs to everyone in the SA2 community, like people who helped me get started all these years ago. I've been in this game way too long at this point. Shout outs to everyone at home watching, donating for the cause. Thank you guys very much for making this such a great event, and thank you to Australia for having me and making me feel so welcome. This has been such a fun trip, and I love being down here, so hopefully this isn't going to be the only time you're going to see me.
Yeah, thanks for coming out here, mate. It's been a pleasure having you.
Anytime, absolutely.
All right, so coming up next, we have a run by Nico Saar and Lucille. It's going to be plate up. Take it away.